Hello, just a quick gear talk episode here for you. Here's a recently constructed pedal board, which I've taken into battle a few times and is working great. And I'll just talk you through it. Might be useful for some of you out there with the choices I've made and my thought process there, my signal chain. So to kick things off, I've got the old Scott Henderson RC booster there, which has the second gain stage. I think that's standard issue now for the version 2. But he was missing it from the version 1, I think, and so he had that idea. And I'll rarely kick it on, to be honest, but sometimes it is the perfect flavor, or I just want to add like 5% to whatever my, overdrive section is doing. For the most part, I really find the EQ just so helpful. It's such a fixer. And I can just add a bit more treble or a bit more bass or whatever, just to really dial it in. And so that's a bit of a set and forget for me. I know a lot of people use it in that way, just to kind of wake the amp up and sound a little bit more expensive. I've got Fenders, Marshall and Fox amps back there. So I can just kind of dial it in depending on the room and how my amp's behaving on the day. And then I'll just leave it on for the whole gig, really. And I really do notice when it's not engaged. So that's one of those pedals now which I just can't live without so much. But yeah, it just sounds great. And yeah, I think it's the perfect way to start my pedal boards these days. From there, I go into the Penny Saver Royale, which I don't see on a lot of boards, but man, it's such a cool pedal. I love the Blue Hippo for the chorus sound, and I'm a fan of the old Green Rhino pedal as well, which is kind of what this is. I think it's Bonamass's take on the the overrated special. She's just sort of tailored for his his rig and the way that he uses it with his amps. But I find it's just a really glorious lead tone. I hardly have it on anything at all. It's just underneath 1 there for the drive, but the frequency and the tone, it's very tweakable, and you can just kind of finesse your lead sound and yeah, just kicks things into high gear. So that's running into the butter machine, which is kind of mid-scooped. And I really love this pedal, but it took me a while to figure it out. I took it to a gig straight after I bought it, and I was just like, whoa, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And I had been a bit of a veteran user of the SD9. I've had the Ibanez SD. I've had the Analog Man modded. I've tried the Scott Henderson signature as well. So I'm very kind of used to it, but the butter machine I think is sort of a higher fidelity version of all of that. It's definitely my favorite of all of that family of circuit. But yeah, for the most part, it's hardly on either. So I've just cracked it open a little bit there, and that's kind of all I need. Like some songs I will crank it a bit more, but for the most part, I'll just kind of leave that on for a lot of my gig, and I'll just ride the volume pot on my guitars. Sounds extra special with my single coils, like my Kinman Strat here, but also sounds awesome with my Ibanez Gem. And I'll just kind of open it up for a nice clean bluesy sort of sound. Or if I want to take things to the next level, then I'll put that overrated special on, and everything's just kind of stacking naturally and organically, and just kind of works nicely with my amp. From there, I have the Blue Hippo side kind of dialed into live in 2000 Landau sort of tones, and so I know he was using the Blue Hippo and the Rhino for a long time. I think he's moved on to some other Vamuran kind of stuff now. But yeah, I just really dig that for kind of those wobbly seasick moments, and I'll kind of use it for that rotary kind of feel more than anything. I do miss the vibrato setting of the Blue Hippo, so that would be my only kind of compromise if maybe a version, a Mark II Blue Hippo came up on the market, which are a bit hard to find these days. I might opt for that just for one extra, option there. And then really, I could put a Green Rhino there and the Blue Hippo there and kind of get the same thing. But yeah, it's a double whammy pedal there, 1 power supply, and I think it sounds killer and just pairs up so nicely with that butter machine. From there I go into the volume pedal, which now that I've sort of got that on my pedal boards, I'd never go back. Like, I really love the volume control after my gain stage is there, and yeah, it just helps me blend into the band so much nicer. It's one more thing to kind of think about. Do I dial back the volume on my guitar, or do I do it here? But for the most part, I'll just kind of ride that through a song and a set, and just kind of keeps me, in the mix there to my ear. Controversial, but my tuner then goes after all of this. That's just kind of how it worked out with the layout of the board. But, I've really only got 5 pedals here and no buffering or anything. And yeah, it's not compromising my tone, I think, in any way with that there. And especially with the RC kind of giving me that extra treble right through. From there, I'm in the T-Rex Tremster, which I love. This and the Boss TR2 are kind of my favorite tremolo pedals. This is one of the original Danish-made ones, and these were like $500 when they first came out. Mid-2000s or something. I got hip to them here in Australia, and I was just like, wow, that's such an expensive pedal compared to the, Boss and MXR stuff that was really available at that time. That was kind of pre, boutique pedal boom. But yeah, man, it sounds cool. Sounds a lot like the Chinese made newer version. But yeah, it's a great pedal, and I've used both and just happen to have this lying around. So that's my tremolo. And then I picked up this TC Electronic Nova repeater secondhand, and I'm digging it. It takes 12 volts, so I've got the Strymon Zoomer under the hood here, and that's, great power supply for everything. Bit of an industry standard. And yeah, just the layout of that, I can get my foot over, this other pedal section here and tap it in and whatever. Great ducking, it sort of just sits underneath and then kind of shines at the end of your phrase or your song or your big hero licks. And yeah, I'll kind of use the studio and the analog. The dynamic's cool, and I can fire stereo out if and when that matters. And then I've just got this tin here for picks and the like there. And that's kind of it. It's all on a Pedalboard Junior, which is a good, it's a good size for me, the classic Junior that is. And yeah, using the Strymon Zoomer underneath. And that's kind of it. Sorry for no audio examples today. I'll get onto that for another video. But yeah, just wanted to talk you through a few of those options, and things are kind of working nicely together if you want to try some of this stuff for yourself. And yeah, catch you for the next one. Cheers.